Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Dash, and I want to say Shalom to Yak Ben Akwath out there for doing this truth diligently, coming at you once again with another lesson. And this is another one that I happened to find just actually a couple minutes ago on Instagram. And I wanted to touch on it a little bit. Jake, he's a little bugged out. All right, you can see he's a little bugged out. He's got the dreads. Later on in the video, he says on God, with all that, just that shit that Jake be doing. But despite that, despite the all of the slop mixed in with it, there's some good stuff in there. All right, and it got me thinking. Instantly I was like, I could probably make a lesson on this, just a little shorter one. I want to touch on, about how, in this truth, it's better not to have that many friends. All right. The more friends you have, the more issues you have. All right. The less friends, the less issues. All right. At least, with dealing with people. When you have all these friends, you're tied down more. All right. You're expected to be available to them at any given moment. And as a man in this truth, or as a woman in this truth as well, we have certain duties that are required of us that we can't be given all of our time to everyone in the world. All right. Now, if it's a brother or a sister, that's a different thing. If they're needing help, they're needing counsel. But these people, that are so-called friends, all right, not brothers or sisters, but just friends, or sometimes even family. All right. It's very, very hard to keep up with every single person, all the aunts, all the aunties, all the cousins, all right, all the grandmas and grandpas, and all these different things, and nieces and nephews. Some people have some very large families, so you can't keep up with everybody. You have to have a tight circle, man. And if you try to please everybody, you'll end up being a pleaser of no one. And again, the more friends you have, the more issues that are more likely to occur. All right, you can't vet every single person that you call. If you have multiple friends, all right, you can't vet every single one of them and know exactly how they are in the mind. It's hard to tell, exactly how someone is in the mind when you only have 3 people that you hang around, right? Even that'll get you. Is this person, was that a little bugged out that they did? Are they all right? Maybe I should talk to them about that, or let alone if you have 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20 people you're hanging out around, right? And again, we don't really have time for that. Men, we got to be teaching and preaching in season and out of season. Women, they got to be taking care of their husbands. So we don't really have a lot of time, to be hanging out with all these groups. We have time to, make the lessons, all right, work, do whatever we do for work, eat, all right, get a little bit of free time, and then, sleep. That's pretty much it. It does, again, unless you're going to have to, one month I'm going to hang out with Tim, and then the other month I'm going to hang out with James, the other month I'm going to hang out with Larry, and the other month I'm going to hang out with, no. It's ridiculous. It's better to just keep a small amount of company, okay? A small amount of company, because you never know if you're going to have a Judas in the group, okay? You never know if you're going to have a Judas in the group. Someone that you think is a friend, and of course, Yahweh Shai knew, all right, and Yahweh knew, all right, it was going to be Judas, all right? But in this case, you might not know who it is, all right? And all of a sudden, this person might switch up on you, even though you've been friends with them. Could be upwards of 30 years, okay? All right, we're in the end of this thing, man. So people are going to be acting a little bit crazy. Spirits are going to be off and wild. And as we get closer and closer to the end, it talks about, your neighbor and friends and family, all right, all becoming your enemy, okay? So you don't think that, Bill, that's been friends with you for 25 years, you think he's exempt to that rule? No, he's not exempt to that rule. All right. Second Esdras 6 and 24, to back up the point that I said. Second Esdras 6 and 24, it says, "At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run." So again, same thing with your neighbors. All right, your neighbors. Some people consider their neighbors friends. Right? Look, very easy to keep very little company. It's not easy to keep a whole bunch of company. All right. So with that, let's hear this guy speak. I'm gonna grab 2 scriptures. We're gonna close it out. Just a little short one, right?
I ain't gonna count. If you got a whole bunch of friends, it's probably because you a fake ass nigga. Okay, if you haven't noticed, people don't like real people. So if you just got a whole lot of friends, bro, you probably a cornball fake ass nigga. On God. And you give people what they want. I give people what they fucking need, bitch. You're not me, nigga.
All right.
I ain't gonna.
You know, seems like Jake got a little bit of sugar in the tank. All right. But this is him here. You know, one of those guys, you know, how do I want to say it? A philosopher, or a bugged out philosopher. All right. But at the same time, you know, gets it right occasionally. Right, you see him smoking weed and everything. So again, Jake not a role model at the end of the day, but what he's saying is true in ways. All right, what he's saying is true in ways. All right, if you have a lot of friends, the people don't really like real people. Okay, and I've noticed that as well, and that's why I said when I saw this video, I said I want to make a lesson on it because it's absolutely true. Most people I've seen that have a bunch of friends, they have one personality with this friend, one personality with this friend, one personality with this friend, and so on and so forth. You know, you'll see these women or these people. I've seen it with people that have worked at, all right, across different jobs. You know, it'll be some girl and her friend Bethany will come and she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, hey Bethany, are we gonna do our nails later?" And then the next one, you know, her friend Veronica will come and she'll be like, "Oh my god, ew, nails, I don't want anything to do with it. Are we gonna hang out and smoke?" And it's like, what the fuck? You know, you have all these different personalities and you're just fake with everybody. You're not really being genuine with anybody. And half the time you're not even being genuine with yourself, man. All right? So, and this truth, you don't really have time for friends. Friends are not a requirement, all right, nor are they something that's really recommended to have too many of. Again, brothers and sisters, you know, that's a different thing. All right, you can consider them as friends. But even the apostles, you know, Great Millstone say, I'm not part of GMS, but that's who I listen to and learn from. I recommend you do the same if you want the truth, right? You know, listen to GMS and those that teach the same, right? And make sure if they teach the same that you vet them and they truly are indeed teaching the same. Where was I going with it? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, you know, damn it. Anyway, oh, that's what it's saying. Yeah. So in even the apostles of GMS, they say, you know, even with all the brothers, you know, be careful. Be careful, all right? Because there's people that have been in GMS or in the truth, all right? And they're in, all right? But a couple months down the line, they're not, all right? You know, strife and contention and, you know, bugged out thoughts start building up. And, you know, 4 or 5 months ago when they seemingly, nobody really saw anything too big, there might have been a slip through the cracks or two. But all of a sudden, I don't want none of this anymore. I just want to smoke a blunt and sit around and eat pork chop and eat pork chop and catfish soup all day, you know, or whatever the fuck, right? And that's what they want to do. And so, and here it is, you give all that previous brother all of your information. Now you got a Judas Iscariot, and he knows all these things. All right, who knows what he's going to do with that information? All right, here he is. He knows your government name. All right, he knows where you work. All right, all these different things, man. That motherfucker over there, he's a Hebrew Israelite. He's a black Hebrew Israelite, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I know where he lives. I know everything, man. I know he's a racist, as a matter of fact. And you should fire him. You don't want that. You don't want that, man. So you just got to be careful. You got to be careful out there. And, you know, your friends got to be a real close. Anybody that you call your friend, you should sift through them. And the ones that make it through that, sift it again. All right. So I got 2 scriptures here. Well, a couple that we're going to read, 7 on down, right? Ecclesiastes 6 and 7. We're going to read a little bit down as well. So, but 2 chapters that we're going to get. Ecclesiastes 6 and 7, it says, "If thou wouldst get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach. Again, some friend is a companion at the table, and will not continue in the day of thy affliction." There you go. It says, "But in thy prosperity he will be as thyself, and will be bold over thy servants. If thou be brought low, he will be against thee." That's what they call a fair weather friend. "And he will hide himself from thy face. Separate thyself from thy enemies, and take heed of thy friends." A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such an one hath found a treasure. Why? Because they're rare. Treasure is rare. 15. Nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. You know, you're as good as the company of your friends are, right? So let's go and get this from 17. And 7 from 7 to 17. I want to get it in the Good News Translation. All right, we're going to start with 7 here. It says, this is the Good News Translation. When you make friends, don't be too quick to trust them and make sure they have proved themselves. Some people will be your friends only when it is convenient for them, but they won't stand by you in trouble. Others will fall out with you over some argument and then embarrass you by letting everyone know about it. There you go. See, oh yeah, you know what? This motherfucker, he was born with one nut. He never even had the other nut. All right, did you know that? You know that? And you know why he had that wheeze? It's because his dad's abusive and squeezed his neck when he was a kid. Believe it or not, he told me everything about it. Doing some shit like that, right? It says 10:11 says, others will sit at your table as long as things are going well. They will stick to you like your shadow and give orders to your servants, but they will not stand by you in trouble. If your situation takes a turn for the worse, they will turn against you, and you won't be able to find them anywhere. Stay away from your enemies and be on guard against your friends. A loyal friend is like a safe shelter. Find one and you've found a treasure. Nothing else is as valuable. There is no way of putting a price on it. And of course, you know, it's not literal. You know, if it's not a friend's not better than this truth. All right. And so for those that say nothing more valuable than that, you know, preemptively striking out the bug outs. But so 16, it says, a loyal friend is like a medicine that keeps you in good health. Only those who fear the Lord can find such a friend. A person who fears the Lord can make real friendships because he will treat his friends as he does himself. So there you go. The only real friends you're going to get are, you know, brothers, sisters, right? That's it, because no one out in the world can really be your friend. Because again, it's the same thing with like people out in, if you're in, you know, in a relationship with someone who's out in the world, you're never going to really have anything as a solid ground. All right, more than likely those relationships always end up falling apart, right? And lastly, all right, Ecclesiasticus 37:1, it says, every friend saith, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. So there you go. And we'll go to 2. It says, is it not grief unto death when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy? There you go. So we'll actually continue on a little bit. It says, O wicked imagination, whence camest thou in to cover the earth with deceit? There is a companion which rejoiceth in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble will be against him. There you go. You can see there's a companion which helpeth his friend for the belly, and taketh up the buckler against the enemy. Forget not thy friend in thy mind, and be not unmindful of him in thy riches. So there you go. So this going down to 6. Okay. All right. Boom. Look at the title. False friends. All right. That's where we're going to close out. In the Good News Translation, it says, anyone can claim to be your friend, but some people are friends in name only. I'm your friend. Well, act like it then, right? It says, the grief caused when a close friendship turns sour is as bad as death. This evil impulse we have, why was it ever formed? How did it manage to cover the earth with deceit? Some people will be your friend as long as things are going well, but they will turn against you when trouble comes. A real friend will help you against your enemies and protect you in a fight. Never forget such companions in battle. Share the results of your victory with them. All right? So there you go, man. So, and that's why you got to vet these people that you have hanging around you, man. And they're calling themselves your friends. Well, vet them. See if they're really your friends or not. All right? Say, you know, Do what you do, man. Say, oh well, I lost my job, man. Or, oh, I don't have that thing. I was gonna give it to you, but hey, man, it ended up breaking or something like that, or whatever happened. Don't be a liar about it, but try to just like use a little bit of guile and cunning, right? And if they're like, oh, just see how they react. Nah, I'm just fucking with you, bro. I'm just fucking with you. I got it, right? And then give it to them, right? But in that brief second, how they act and show you a lot, man. It can show you a lot. I'm not saying lie. I'm just saying, pull a little gag on them. Be like, oh, man, I was going to give it to you, but guess what? It completely broke. And see how they act. See how they act, right? And there's one of two ways. They're either going to call your bullshit, man, you fucking lying, or they're going to have some type of, face on them, all right, that's going to show that they are really only wanting you for that item, right, or whatever it was that you were providing for them. So, word of caution, all right, do with it what you will. With that, we're going to close out. Lord willing, it was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Dash. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.